All right. Unfortunately, we need to run through these. We should have done reverse order, but what the hell? We'll end on the dunks. We got to go reverse order. We got to deal a little bit with Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. So, and next week we're going to talk about these Israel starting to strike Iranian targets in Syria and Russia actually sort of letting that happen. We're going to need to get to that. But let's just deal with this. Let's start. Okay, I guess we'll go from the best to the absolute worst, and then we'll move back up a little bit. This is Joe Biden in 1988. And I want to play this because, again, look, he's already recanted, I think, some of this. And this isn't just, though, a question of digging something up that somebody said in a different political time. Now, this stuff isn't, generic call-out culture stuff. This is important. This is a frontline major politician blowing dog whistles here on crime. But in addition to that, Joe Biden wrote the crime bill that Clinton signed into law. This mass expansion in the 90s of the criminal industrial complex. This grotesque reciprocal relationship of exporting instability and crime in Central America, supporting groups like the Contras, and then while gutting Democrats and Republicans, gutting and devastating the social safety net in the Reagan era, and then coming out of it in the 90s with this crime scare, and then this massive expansion of an already totally over-imprisoned population. Joe Biden wrote that. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. Here he is in 1998 attacking George Herbert Walker Bush from the right.
Now I'm going to point out some specific things, 6 of them, that we find inadequate about the president's plan. I think the president has to join us in making a significantly greater commitment to these 6 areas to stem the rising tide of violence in America, and that's what it is, violence. First, we have to join together to ensure that drug dealers are punished swiftly, surely, and severely. And in line with what the president is calling for, we have to hold every drug user accountable. Because if there were no drug users, there would be no appetite for drugs and there'd be no market for them.
Pause that. I'm sorry to pause it, but just really underline that. Users. We can get into the debate, and most people involved in the sale of drugs, unless they are, El Chapo, of course, there was major overprisoning of everybody across the board. But just in point of relief, because I'll go and I'll fight that battle, and anybody who cares about these issues would fight the battle on stop putting almost everybody we're putting in prison. But a really small place to start would be the basic human response of, if you have an addiction, we should be helping you. This guy is in pure 1980s form saying users should be punished.
No drug users, there would be no appetite for drugs and there'd be no market for them. Let's take a look at what the real problem is. It's not just how many people are using drugs. As the president said, the number of people using drugs, cocaine in particular, is down in our country. That's true. But the violence associated with drugs is spewing out all over America, and that's terrible. I know it's hard to believe, but this very day, violent drug offenders will commit more than 100,000 crimes on this day alone. And the sad part is that we have no more police in the streets of our major cities than we had 10 years ago. And what the president proposes won't help much. What he proposes is no increase over what the Congress has already approved last year. In a nutshell, the president's plan doesn't include enough police officers to catch the violent thugs, not enough prosecutors to convict them, not enough judges to sentence them, and not enough prison cells to put them away for a long time. That's why right now, 6 out of every 10 criminals who are arrested on drug charges have their cases dropped. That's why we think the president should triple the commitment that he's made tonight for police, prosecutors, and judges for our cities and our states.
So Add that to wrote the bankruptcy bill, that bill that work Elizabeth Warren did great work as an activist against an attack on working and middle class people on behalf of the credit card industry headquartered in Delaware. Add to that voting for the invasion of Iraq. Add to that earlier anti-civil rights positions. I mean, this guy, and again, I'm not, I think some people in our circles get frankly disconnected from the reality that Joe Biden has a lot of political assets. And he might in fact he has the biggest lead against Trump in a general. I think he would destroy Trump in a general. And I wouldn't go to assuming that just because we don't like him for any number of reasons that he wouldn't be a very formidable candidate in the Democratic primary. He might very well be. But for very basic, grounded political reasons, this guy is absolutely unacceptable. And anybody who has, if you find somebody who has attempted to sort of attack Bernie Sanders, for claims of, Bernie not being sort of good enough on any number of issues, including ones that maybe he does need to improve on, who've also praised Joe Biden, that's a fundamentally illegitimate person with fundamentally illegitimate opinions. You just enjoyed that Michael Brooks Show video, and you can get a lot more by subscribing to us here at the Michael Brooks Show YouTube channel. It's literally right there.